Hi, and thank you so much for tuning back in. This is Margot from Limitless Empowerment. And I apologize in advance as I am choosing to sit outside to do this recording. Just enjoying the sunshine in the morning before my training day kicks off. What I wanted to talk about was timeline therapy and the use of timeline therapy, where it's really great for what it does. And I'm only going to touch on it very high level, as it is a topic that I could potentially get into very long hours of discussions on. But timeline therapy is a technique that a practitioner is qualified in and can actually utilize to help you navigate through things such as phobias or traumas, negative emotions, major negative emotions, anger, sadness, guilt, shame, fear, hurt, and so on. And I say major negative emotions because minor negative emotions, things like frustration, irritation, and others, they can actually be dealt with in a much faster way and through various other techniques. So definitely major negative emotions are something that timeline therapy can work on as a technique. Other things to consider through timeline therapy is actually going back and working on events that have happened in your timeline, and what is it that you need to learn from them? What is it that you need to actually take away from them, dissociating the feeling and being able to move forward. So especially in the regards of a potential phobia that you may have on any topic that phobia is related to, timeline therapy is a technique to actually be able to release you from the connection that phobia has on you and all of the patterns of behavior that you'll exhibit and the feelings that you'll exhibit when that phobia is triggered. So let's say, for example, you may have a phobia of mice, something that's quite common with a lot of people. There could have been a particular event in your life that has occurred in your timeline, maybe even an event that you're not consciously aware of because it's something that your unconscious has suppressed for you. But every time you see a mouse or mice, you actually don't understand why you may react the way you react. Or maybe you do understand and you're aware of a lot more, but you're also still not connecting the very first event that has happened in your timeline and what it is that you need to do and learn for you to be able to move past the reaction your body goes through, move past the patterns of behavior, be able to understand how to dissociate the emotion that's connected to it. Therefore, when you come across mice, you actually aren't responding or going through the pattern of behavior as you would normally. And again, this is something that we would go into a lot more detail on if I was working with you in a client coaching setup. But timeline therapy is giving you the ability to actually go through the timeline and understand what is it and where is it and what is it that you need to do to be able to absorb and preserve the learnings from that very event, whatever it might be, and be able to actually walk away, as I said, dissociated, so that in the future the responses you have currently had or previously had are no longer showing up for you that way, and therefore limiting you or creating challenges and obstacles in your life for how you actually want to live your life and how you move forward. The other amazing thing that timeline therapy does is also goal setting in the future. So let's say hypothetically you've got a goal you particularly want to achieve this year. Okay, let's make the goal the purchase of a home. It's something that many people go through and it's something that many people achieve for. And say you are really clear on your goal, you want it particularly completed and purchased by December this year in 2022, and you even want to be in it by Christmas. So let's put a date on that. Let's say to be in it by Christmas, we want to be in it on the 20th of December. Utilizing timeline therapy, we can actually goal set so specific, so clear, so precise, that by creating the goal and placing it in the future timeline through the work of timeline therapy, you'll actually begin to recognize how the events leading up until the 20th of December 2022 will re-engineer themselves so that, sorry, just had a car go past, your events and your way of being and your behavior and your choices will re-engineer themselves to get you through and to that goal on time as it has been positioned in your timeline, the date of completion, what it will look like completed, how you will feel, what you'll see, what you'll hear, all of it, everything, and I mean absolutely everything, will be created and placed and positioned into your timeline. And as you come back to now, today, everything you do moving forward, you are unconsciously working towards that goal, and everything will be re-engineered. What I mean by re-engineered, you will be everything you do will direct you towards the goal on that specific day, in that specific moment, specifically how you want it to be played out. So there's a lot of things that timeline therapy can actually work with you on. Another thing that I always come across in conversations with clients is even just being able to show up in time or through time. So for example, if you're a person that is governed by time and you need to be at your appointments on time and everything needs to work on time, you literally structure out your day. You get on holiday and you've got a schedule for the day. You're on the bus at 9 o'clock doing the sightseeing, at 10 o'clock you're here, at 12 o'clock you're having lunch here. And if time is working against you in this fashion, meaning causing you stress, anxiety, frustration, maybe even more major negative emotions are occurring for you if time isn't working in the fashion that you want it, then this is something that ecologically isn't positioned for you correctly. It's not a win-win. As much as you want to be on time for your appointments, it's actually causing you this adverse reaction in the process. So again, timeline therapy would actually work to reposition how you're perceiving or viewing time so that you're able to either be at your appointments but let go of all of the negative emotions that are associated with the potential of running late if something is outside of your control. Maybe it was a bad day with traffic. Maybe there was an accident that you obviously can't foresee. Maybe there was roadworks that was stalling the progression of traffic, which normally isn't there because something's happened on the road and they need to action. Things that are outside of your control have stopped you from getting to this appointment at 9 o'clock. You still got up and you had everything prepared for the morning. You jumped in the car with adamant amount of time to get to this appointment, the destination. You were aware of all of the things that you needed to do and you did them. But outside of your control, something has hindered you from getting there at 9 o'clock, and this causes you an adverse reaction of stress and anxiety. And for the rest of the day, you might actually be completely off. That's where I say it's not ecologically working for you. You're not winning in this situation. You are still getting to your appointment on time or trying your very best to get there at 9 o'clock. But the adverse reaction or the emotions that you're going through are actually causing a negative response in your physiology, in your neurology, in your neurological nervous system in your body. And the ongoing effects of actually placing your body in such strain can be catastrophic. So again, utilizing timeline therapy to work with and understand how your timeline is positioned and position it accordingly to what it is you're trying to achieve is another thing that you can do through the work of timeline therapy. So there are many topics here that I'd love to dive so much deeper on, and what I'll do is I'll actually segregate them so I talk about them specifically focusing on one topic at a time. This was more a holistic view of timeline therapy, but if I can make a recommendation is when you are working with your timeline, ensure that you are working with a qualified timeline therapist practitioner. They definitely need to be qualified and certified and aware of what it is they need to do with your timeline, because this is your timeline. It's not something to be playing around with. It is where we store all of our memories and all of our emotions, and everything is going on for us. And it's also where our projection of the future lives. And our timeline, depending on your belief system, whether it starts from the moment we're born, whether it starts in our mother's womb, or whether it's even started before that, whether it's ancestral or geological, whether it was generations ago that we've taken on board something in our timeline, whether it's our ancestors that have gone through an experience or an event or emotions, and this is attached to our timeline. There's a whole heap of depth that you can go into with this. Ensure that you're working with a qualified timeline therapy practitioner, and they are certified in that field to be working with your timeline, working with you on this. So please like and share my channel, turn on your notifications, subscribe. I will be chunking down even further on specific elements of what to do through timeline therapy, and in particular, all of the major limiting decisions, limiting beliefs, major negative emotions, phobias, traumas, things that people do experience and that create massive obstacles and challenges and limitations in people's lives, stopping them from moving forward and achieving what it is that they're out to achieve. So I hope you've enjoyed today's series, and please take care of yourself wherever you are in the world.